Automotive Art is a commercial force in the automotive industry in Barbados and the Caribbean. In a circle, relishes the opportunity to speak to Automotive Art co-founder and Barbadian trailblazer, Dereck Foster.
First thing is, I had an idea that I thought would do very well. And the company I was working with at the time, I presented that idea, and I won't call it a business plan, but a concept to my then boss. And we were already in the automotive paint business. I mean, the company I worked for was in the automotive paint business, and I ran that division. So I presented this idea to my boss to expand that division, and it wasn't the core. The paint business was not the core business for that company at the time, and he felt that it wouldn't work. So, or maybe he didn't want to invest in that. So I felt passionate enough about it that I thought that I should give it my own, give it a shot. So that was the main reason for going into it. I really felt passionate about what it was that I wanted to do, and what I saw the business becoming. So I went about into my own business for mainly that reason. The first thing I did was actually developed a kind of like a financial model with some help of some of my other friends who had an accounting background, and they helped me put together the financial part of the business plan. So with that in hand, I kind of realized that, you know, I would have a major problem with finance, and obviously I couldn't raise that level of finance to take it to develop what I wanted. So I had a partner from the company where I worked, and the two of us kind of borrowed, begged, and whatever to get the kind of capital we would need, but it still wasn't enough. So we went to a local company called Harris Paints, who had been in business for several years, had a good reputation, and also they knew me and because I was a competitor. So they said, yeah, we want to count us in, and as a matter of fact, we have an automotive manufacturing division that we would like you to take over as well. So it kind of worked really well because they obviously had the financial resources to give us. Plus, we would immediately have a kind of a manufacturing arm, which at that time was important. So it worked really well, and so from there, I mean, Hugh and I still had to give the bank our houses or wives or whatever they would take, but at least they would, you know, Harris added to that the credibility. So that's how we started. To do that, of course, we had to give up equity. So we had to give them equity in the business, because they weren't really interested in lending. They were more interested in investing, which is what I would have done. Obviously what we did was originally in the automotive paint, and actually my wife came up with the name Automotive Art, and
really?
Yeah, so she was the one that came up with the name, so I have to give her credit for that. And the business we first started was not a consumer business, it was more B2B business, because our customers were body shops, and, you know, guys who painted cars and car dealerships and so on. So really the brand was built by going to them, and, you know, going and visiting the shop, showing them our products and doing the demonstrations and showing them how much better they were than what they were using, etc., etc. So very much a B2B focus. The consumer end came maybe a year or two later, and I think this comes back to what I think that we do really well. We still do really well. I recruited a really young professional guy with a you know, a marketing degree and so on, to head up our sales and marketing division and take us into the consumer end of the business. And he really was the one that drove the marketing to take us into the consumer. And we had some very innovative marketing at the time. Very you know, we had really interesting marketing but primarily we focused on the radio. because majority of our customers listen to radio in the other markets around the region. And we also had a distribution agreement for a big German paint company called Glazer, which we had for the English-speaking Caribbean. So we started selling our paints into the region, and but these are all technical products, so you have to bring people to train. We have to. These people were very interested in the other stuff we were doing, you know, all the accessories and our retail format and how we did everything to do with retail. So that's how we got the idea of franchising. We said, well, if we can give them all this information, and basically we're giving it for free while they were here, well, we should really look at a different model. So that's when we got the idea of franchising, and that's when we went into the franchise model. So they could then have a franchise that, if depending on their resources, either they started in paint and expanded into these other things, or they could start with the whole franchise model. So, and that's how we started franchising. So it was kind of like, well, we're doing this thing, and here is the opportunity that we didn't think about, but here it is, and that's how we got into franchising. I think everybody thinks franchising is McDonald's and, you know, Burger King, exactly, and KFC is food. But food is one franchise model, but there are many, and so I don't think they really understand it, and I don't think they understand the potential it has to grow rapidly with limited capital. Because when you open a franchise, you're not using any capital. The franchisee has to provide the capital. So it is a very good model for growing quickly. It has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's not the right model for every business. But so you have to be very careful about it. Otherwise, you could have a lot of problems with franchising as well. So, but yeah, so it was a model that worked for us. You have to believe passionately in whatever it is you're doing. You know, whenever I chat with people who say they're entrepreneurs, I can immediately, in a few minutes, know if they're going to be successful or not, because they're not 100% passionate about what it is. I mean, I really wanted to do what I was doing, you know, and I had the experience and background in it, so it wasn't something I just woke up one morning and said, oh, this is what I'm going to do. So you have to be passionate about the business that you're going into, and you have to be really committed, because it is a lot of hard work, and you know, a lot of people know about the successful entrepreneurs after they've been successful, but they weren't around when they were when they were really in the trenches, you know. And I remember when Hugh and I first started, I mean, both of us had very good jobs, you know, with all the benefits of working and being in a management position in the company, with company cars and blah, blah, blah. And when we left, we gave up our company cars, and we bought you know, I think it was a 10-year-old Suzuki van, and we shared that. So he used to drop me at home on an afternoon and pick me up on a morning, just because he lived. So you kind of have to go through the hard work, and to do that, you really got to be committed. But success of our business, and I think the success of most, is that's a given. That one you have to do. There's no shortcuts, you know. It's not a lottery. You don't wake up one day and say, oops, I'm successful. So, you know, it's about hard work. But for us, I would say our success came because we were able to identify really good people, and we find ways of recruiting them, motivating them, and keeping them.